Hello, hello. Welcome back. All right, we are covering quadratic functions and models in this video. We are doing it in two videos, so take notes. Be ready to text me your questions as you're watching this video. Okay, so 3.1 quadratic functions. And models. All right, so let's recall what a quadratic function looks like. So a quadratic function has the form f of x, which equals ax squared plus bx plus c. And of course, a is not 0, because if a is 0, then we no longer have x squared, which then would make this a line. Okay, so it has this form. You're familiar with this. We learned how to factor these, right? Okay, so standard form. So depending on which book you use, some books will call this one standard form, and they'll call this next one vertex form. However, your book calls this one standard form, and they don't have a name for this one. Okay, so standard form looks like this. And you've actually worked with this form already. This is the form it's usually in when we're doing our graphing by shifting up, shifting down, shifting left, right. Okay, it's usually in this form. Okay, so this is standard form. So you would have it look like this, where the vertex is at HK, okay, which is here. Also note that if A is greater than 0, then you'll have the parabola open upward. If A is less than 0, your parabola would open downward. Okay? Note, can rewrite f of x equals that first form, ax squared plus bx plus c. You can rewrite this form in standard form by, number one, completing the square, which is the method we're going to be using, or two, finding a, h, k. And i.e. A and the vertex, because the vertex is at HK. All right, so let's take a look at this example here. Suppose that we have this quadratic 2x squared minus 12x plus 13. And suppose you're asked to do all of these things. Express f of x in, let's spell incorrectly, in standard form. Okay, so you're going to be asked to express it in the standard form. And then after that, we have to find the vertex. Once it's in standard form, it's easy to find. Find the vertex. And intercepts. Sketch the graph. And then D, find the domain and range. Okay, so let's have a look. All right, so let's do, here, let me break this up. Let's do part A first. Express f of x in standard form. Okay, and right here I had said you can write this in standard form by completing the square or doing this here. So let's go ahead and do this by completing the square. Okay. All right, so part A, standard form. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and use completing the square. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. F of x equals 2x squared minus 12x plus 13. Okay. All right, so here we go, completing the square. So if you remember, we can't start unless that unless this here leading coefficient is 1. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to factor it out of these here, but not out of the 13. So I'm going to factor out 2, and I'll have x squared minus 6x. And I'm going to move this 13 over. Okay. Now remember, if you add something here, then you're going to subtract it over here. Okay. I'm going to leave that blank for now so that you can kind of see the steps. Okay, so if you recall, the way we figure out what goes here is we take half of 6. Half of 6 is 3, right? So I'm going to be squaring 3. Again, 3 is half of 6. That's how I got 3. Okay, so I'm not going to put 9 here. 3 squared is 9, yes. But you're not actually going to subtract 9 here because look at everything in here is grouped in parentheses. And so everything in here is getting multiplied by 2. So you're not really just adding 9 here. You're actually adding 9 times this 2, which is 18. See that? So you have to be careful when you factor things out like this. Okay, so it's not 9 that you have to subtract here. It's 18. Okay, so now this automatically factors out to x minus 3. And then over here we get minus 5. Okay, and there you have it. We have our standard form. F of x equals 2 parentheses x minus 3 squared minus 5. And now that it is in standard form, I can do part B. What does part B ask for? find the vertex and intercepts. Okay, vertex and intercepts. Okay, so the vertex is at HK. So that would be at 3, -5. HK. All right, intercepts. Let's do the y-intercept. So we let x be 0. So y equals 2 times 0 minus 3 squared minus 5. 2 times -3 squared minus 5. 2 times 9 minus 5. 18 minus 5. 13. Okay. So the y-intercept is at 0, 13. Okay, and then the x-intercept, we have 0, we let y be 0 now, so 0 equals 2 x minus 3 squared minus 5. And I have to solve for x, so I am going to add 5 to both sides. So I get 5 equals 2 times x minus 3 squared, because those cancel. Divide both sides by 2. They cancel. 5 over 2 equals x minus 3 squared. So now I'm going to take the square root of both sides to cancel out this square. But remember, when you do the square root, you get plus minus square root here. All right, so we get plus minus square root of 5 halves equals x minus 3. Okay, we're still going. Let's add 3 to both sides. So I get 3 plus minus square root of 5 over 2. Okay. Different ways to write this. I'm not sure how WebAssign will want you to write it. So you can write it as 3 plus square root of 5 halves, comma 0. And 3 minus square root of 5 halves, comma 0. So that's one way to write your two x-intercepts. Another way to write your two x-intercepts is to turn that into decimals. Okay, so if you turn this into a decimal, then that would be 1.420 and 4.58. That doesn't make sense. Oh, I have them switched. Sorry. This one is 4.58. And this one is 1.42. Okay. So, not sure which way WebAssign will take it. Just read the directions. They usually say, oh, write it, leave your answers in square roots or round your answers to two decimals. They'll say something like that. Okay. All right. So we found the vertex. We found the vertex. It's at HK. That's H. That's K. We found the y-intercept. We let x be 0. and we work that out. We found the x-intercepts. We let y be 0, and we solve for x. Okay, so now we need to do what's left. Sketch the graph and then find the domain and range. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. Sketch the graph. All right, we have plenty of information here to do the sketch. So let's see. We know it's a parabola. We know it's a parabola. And we know that it's going to open upwards because, here, let me write down what we originally have so that you can see. So this is what we have. 2x minus 3 squared minus 5. Okay, so we know it's a parabola, and we know that it opens upward because A is positive. When this is negative, that's when it reflects over the x-axis. Okay, so we have this. Okay, so we know all of this so far. Okay, let's go ahead and plot. Vertex is at 3, negative 5. I'm going to need some room down here. All right, so 1, 2, 3, negative 5. So here's my vertex. I always like to do this sort of line of symmetry through my vertex so that I know that one side will mirror the other. Okay. All right. And what else do we know from that last problem? 4.58 and 1.42 are the x-intercepts. 1.42. So like right around there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4.58. So like right around there. And what was the y-intercept? Y-intercept 0.13. Ooh, do I have enough room? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. You could also go by 2s. 2, 4, 6, 8. You can go by 5s. All right. So this is pretty much all I need to do the graph. Try to do better than me. All right. You guys are going to be doing it online anyway, so you guys are going to be plotting the points necessary and then dragging the parabola graph onto it. So yours, of course, will look better than mine. Okay, so let's see. Domain. Okay, so by looking at this graph, we can find our domain and range. Okay, so domain. Those are all the x values that are being used, and that would be everything. Okay, so the domain is all real numbers. All real numbers. If you're using set notation, that would be negative infinity to positive infinity. All right, your range is not all real numbers. We see that our graph bottoms out right here. So it's everything from here on up. Okay, so, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that was negative 5. Okay, so our range starts from negative 5 and it goes to positive infinity. Okay, so like negative 6 is not being used, negative 7 is not being used. Okay, and remember, range are the y values. Okay. All right, I'm going to stop there and we'll continue with a second video and talk about maximum and minimum values. All right, don't forget to text me your questions if you have any.